Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saur Darkchylde. I'm a player with autism, and welcome back to Let's Play Ace Attorney Investigations 2, Prosecutor's Gambit. Last time, we have just started this game, and it starts off literally with a bang as a president from a foreign country has come to a rally. And during that rally, he is attempted assassinated by an unknown assailant. Throughout the chaos, the head person of the prosecutor's office calls in Miles Edgeworth, claiming that if it's anyone that can solve this mystery, it's him. During our investigation, we find that our would-be assassin happens to be a guy wearing a red hooded jacket, and eventually we find ourselves meeting with the assassin that we let get away in the finale of Justice for All, Shelly the Killer. But another her person comes out saying that it was a news reporter named Tabby Lloyd who is responsible for the shooting, giving us the upper hand. Shelly the Killer threatens one of the bodyguards, as one of the conditions for him letting him live was to let Miles Edgeworth investigate the murder of a fellow bodyguard who is reported to be killed during the shooting. And the main culprit is this new news reporter girl named Tabby Lloyd, and we have to clear her name by examining the crime scene itself. So, let's get right down to it then. When the death of Bastian Rook and the revelation that Shelly the Killer was in our midst, the case had taken a turn we could have never predicted. Mr. Knight ordered that the door to the presidential plane be opened, and the emergency personnel attending Mr. Rook's body were asked to leave. With the scene cleared, we stepped cautiously aboard. March 25th, 2019, 4:15 p.m. Zhengfa Presidential Plane. No president in sight. Now, where could he be? Who knows? Ah, so he's hiding behind the buckled door over there, is he? As courageous in the face of danger as ever. Ha! Sorry to disappoint, but did you seriously expect him to be standing there waiting to meet his assassin? As we have already established, my interests lie only in the successful conclusion of this investigation. Now, Mr. Edgeworth, if you would be so kind as to examine the body. Alright. My only option right now is to play along. The rest is up to you, Detective Gumshoe. So the attempted assassination of the president has become the murder of a bodyguard.
Looks like you could use a little help here, Mr. Edgeworth.
Not that I need it, but yes.
That's what I thought. Then there's nothing else for it. Kay Faraday, great thief extraordinaire. Here, we'll just have to take it from here.
Oh, really? You mean you're going to solve the case for me?
Nope.
I thought not.
But I will provide vital assistance. Now, let's get to scrounging this crime scene from top to bottom.
It will take Detective Gumshoe a while to assemble our backup. So I'll need to draw this part of the investigation out for as long as possible. And first things first, examine the body. I must scour the scene and inspect anything that catches my attention. For instance, that. The bullet seems to have entered just under the armpit and went clean through his body. He was hit in an area this bulletproof vest didn't cover.
Like it was on purpose or something, huh?
The cause of death would appear to be the loss of blood. Attempts were made to stench it, but to no avail.
The medics must have been brought in to try and save him.
Sadly, it was too little too late. So the victim was also carrying a revolver.
It looks like he was trying to use it.
He probably drew it on instinct when he felt threatened. We should check to see if he managed to fire any rounds off. All there, and no other signs of the weapon being used. Was this one on loan from Zhengfa's too?
Yup, sure was. We're always issued the same model gun.
Is that right? And what are these briefcases? It's a bulletproof attaché case. Bodyguards use them to shield their clients from gunfire. There were some encased photographs too. Looks like Rook and Knight each had one.
Oh hey, that's the photo I snatched.
You can hardly steal a photo at a public event, Kay.
But I'm snatching up a moment in time with every picture I take, you know?
I take it snatch is your new favorite word.
Maybe.
Okay, we checked you. What's that badge on your chest? It's the victim, Mr. Bastian Rook, bodyguard to the president of Zhengfa.
He's one of the guys that brought the president inside as soon as the shooting started.
Which means he continued to do his duty right up until his dying breath.
At least he'll get sumptuously promoted.
Okay. It's better to know when to say nothing at all than to end up with your foot in your mouth.
What do you mean?
I mean, bodyguards don't even operate on the same rank promotion system as the police in the first place. Okay, we checked him, the gun, the bullet wound, and the briefcase here. Is there anything else here? Can't go over to those masks down there, so that's it for this. Next, let's check out that bulletproof vest.
That looks heavy. So, this is what a president wears, huh? Must be made of something super special.
Yes, to protect him from bullets.
What? So, it's not just for show?
Of course not. This is a bulletproof vest. And it looks like it's got a bullet hole in there.
Oh, so that's what one of those look like. Why didn't you just say so? Now I feel silly.
It's not added to my evidence? Really? I was gonna examine the bullet in that thing. Okay. Documents of some kind.
We can always steal a glance.
Another security plan.
Oh yeah, like the one from the trash can.
Let's take a quick look at that. Ah, I see a contradiction here. Rook and Knight are switched places. Precisely. But wait, something feels off. Eureka! The two plans are different. Was the security detail recognized at some point? Reorganized at one point?
Huh? Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, we made some last-minute changes yesterday. President's orders. Why the urgency?
Because of what happened the day before, the killer here tried to take him down. He infiltrated the security detail, posed as one of us. Rook figured it out first, but not before the guy got within striking distance of the president's. If our leader hadn't stepped in just then, we'd all have been out of the job. But he made it, and our friend here wound up with a seriously twisted arm. Rook put a bullet in it for him for good measure. And where were you while all this happening?
You were the first one I overpowered, were you not?
Oh, that's embarrassing. Shut up, kid!
Ah, now I get it. Your neck has barely begun to heal, and you've already forgotten who I am. I'm disappointed.
Well, it's you! Busted up my neck so bad, I can't even look to my right.
I was somewhat astonished to have sustained an injury at all. A testament to Mr. Rook's skill. He was truly a master of his craft. Unlike a certain other someone I could mention.
It's just as good as he ever was. I'm just as good as he ever was.
You were a pawn to his queen, my young friend.
What the heck do you know?
So that's why you remembered Mr. Rook's name. You admired his skill as a bodyguard? Indeed. While I was serving on the team, I learned the name of all the operatives. But his in particular stayed with me. I joined the very short list of those who have ever successfully wounded me. So that's the connection he was talking about.
And that's why we changed up the securities plan. Had to be sure there weren't any more assassins in the ranks. The president didn't want anybody on stage he didn't trust. And he only trusts two people. Me and Rook.
How does that explain your change in position?
Oh yeah, he switched over to the right-hand side. I told you, I can't turn my neck to the right. Could only cover the president's left side. So, I wound up moving to the right side of the stage.
Okay. Okay, so we covered that, and we covered this. I don't see anything else in particular here that is of interest here, so let's move on. It's a bank of monitors displaying camera feeds from in and around the plane. What on earth is this?
Oh, that's the president's favorite plushie. It's a memento of something. Anyway, don't touch!
But if that's the case, then why has it been
left there like nobody cares about it? Yeah, that's pretty weird.
It certainly wouldn't be the first place I would think to display a beloved item. Wait, are those shards of glass underneath? I thought something seemed strange about this chubby cubby hole, but now I'm sure of it. There was most certainly another monitor here. Okay. These monitors are displaying the cockpit and parts of the plane's exterior. But I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Other than this, I don't see anything. Wait a minute. These monitors. Oh, wait, that's the same thing. Okay. Check, check, check. Let's see. Is it time for some logic? Let's see. I believe bulletproof vest found on the desk. It has a bullet lodged in it. Was it the president's? Bullet through the body. The bullet passed through the victim. Where did it end up? I hope I'm right about this. Two bullets were fired in total. Well, we know this because 2 shots were heard. One traveled through the flag and into the balloon. The other took Mr. Rook's life.
But there's a bullet in the president's vest too, right? How is that possible?
How indeed? The numbers don't add up. However, there is one possible explanation.
There is?
After passing through his body, the bullet that took Mr. Rook's life then found itself lodged in the vest. In other words, 2 bullets were fired, in fact, 1.
No way!
He's right. If the president hadn't been wearing that vest, things could have been a lot worse.
And he wasn't injured at all by the impact? Even when obstructed by a vest, a bullet can inflict serious damage.
Sure, I've known guys who've got broken bones that way. But the president's okay. He's made of strong stuff.
Sounds like he didn't even need the vest.
Let's not get carried away here. I want that bullet's ballistic markings analyzed.
Remind me what those are again?
Guns leave a unique pattern of grooves on every bullet they fire. By examining those grooves, we can use them to identify which gun it came from. Think of them as fingerprints of sort.
You can tell that from a bullet? Then what are we waiting for? Analyze away!
Might it be easier said than done? That bullet hit solid armor. The impact will have completely flattened it. You'll be lucky if there's anything left of the forensics to find.
What? But I was all set for analyzing.
Now we can get it in our organizer. Okay. Now, is there anything else here that... Maybe these 2? If not, if I'm wrong here, I can always fix it later. The 2 guns are exactly the same, meaning it's likely that the one we've found is also from Zhangfa.
The bodyguards all got their guns from Zhangfa authorities, right?
Yes.
Are they, like, super rare or something?
No, I don't believe so. This model isn't exactly easy to come by in this country, but it's certainly not impossible either.
Boo! And here I thought they might be valuable treasures.
Yes, it is something of a shame.
Whoa! I just mentioned treasures and you actually responded for once?
I only mean to point out that if the guns were rarer, it would be much easier to trace them. which would have made them treasures of the evidence variety, I suppose.
Ha! See? Everything's a treasure hunt one way or another, including this investigation.
You could say that.
All right then. It's treasure hunting time. On with the investigation.
She certainly seems a lot more enthusiastic all of a sudden. That's quite enough investigating for now. What is taking so long, Detective Gumshoe? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, have you solved the case? No, not yet. Is that so? Then perhaps interviewing another key witness might help you do so. Another witness? Who?
You don't mean...
The most important witness of all. The man on the other side of that door. He really intends me to question the president? Now, if you would be so kind as to summon him, Mr. Edgeworth.
Stop right there, Darkchylde. You're nuts if you think I'd let him anywhere near you.
Well, Mr. President, I'm sure you're watching us through their security feed, aren't you? In which case, I politely request that you show yourself. That is, if you value your bodyguard's life. Well then, if nothing else, we now know what kind of man you really are.
Mr. President! Stop! You can't do this! Let's all just calm down, right?
Come on, detective, where the blazes are you?
Eh!
The lights! What's happening? Listen well, Mr. Edgeworth. I would advise you to stay very still. It seems I will not be granted my audience with the president after all. Even with Mr. Knight's life as my bargaining chip.
No! Stop!
Eh!
Kay, you won't get away with this, Darkchylde! I have seen enough, and now I know the truth. Where are you? Where did you go? Ugh. I leave the rest in your capable hands, Mr. Edgeworth. Worth. Mr. Edgeworth. Detective Gumshoe?
Sir! Mr. Edgeworth, sir!
Oh, there were things on that display thing right next to Kay, but now they're gone. I must have been knocked unconscious.
Sir, you okay?
Are you alright, Mr. Edgeworth?
Never mind me. He didn't hurt you, did he, Kay?
Nah, I'm fine. Only just woke up myself. My head will be sore for a while, but that's about it. So, you can stop worrying.
Detective, did you manage to stop the killer?
Well, you see, Mr. Lloyd, he came running out of Miss Lloyd came running out of the plane and, she told us he's flown the coop. We were too late. I'm sorry, sir. Bodyguard over there told us something too. Seems there's an inflatable boat missing from by the window. The killer must have stolen it and rowed himself across the lake.
What about the cauldron around the park?
I called everybody back in to stake out the plane, including the guy stationed across the water.
No. So he's completely slipped through our fingers?
Not the best look for the department, but yeah. Hey, Edgeworth.
Mr. Knight, you're alive?
Yeah, no thanks to that murderer. Oh, that reminds me. I found this lying on the ground next to you, Mr. Edgeworth.
A calling card? Marked with a seashell?
Guess he wanted to leave a message.
Okay. The killer usually leaves those next to the bodies of his victims.
But you're not dead, sir.
But I could have been. Maybe that's the message. I can't stop thinking about his parting words. I have seen enough, and now I know the truth. I leave the rest in your capable hands, Mr. Edgeworth. Now I know the truth. The truth about what?
Roger that. All clear out here, sir. Over.
What's going on?
That was the president. He's coming out.
Now? So he's the president of Zhongfa, Mr. Daijin Wang. And you are? It's an honor to meet you, Mr. President. My name is Miles Edgeworth.
The honor is all mine, Mr. Edgeworth. I am Daijin Wang.
Your efforts on behalf of the Zhongfa have not gone unnoticed. You averted something of a crisis. He must be referring to the Yatagarasu case. Thank you, sir, but all I did was solve a few local cases of murder.
You are too humble. I have been observing your investigation. You are an impressive operator, Mr. Edgeworth. Even if the killer did get away.
That's very kind of you to say. So he was watching through his security feed.
Sadly, I must inform you that this is as far as your investigation goes.
What do you mean?
Hear me, foolish prosecutor, for I shall say this only once. Knight has appraised me of the state of affairs. And from this point forward, the case will be handled by Zhongfa's police force, the finest in the world.
Even with the killer out of the picture, they still looking to get me thrown off the case?
What do you think you're doing, pal? Nobody talks to Mr. Edgeworth like that. If it hadn't been for him, the killer would have...
Detective! Forgive him, Mr. President, but I must confess to being somewhat confused. I fail to see how or why this case falls within Zhongfa's jurisdiction.
You fail to see? Enough, puny prosecutor. You seek explanations from a head of state. I say no, 1,000 times no. I will not explain myself to you. Now, hand over the evidence you have gathered and remove yourself from this plane. I'd do as he says if I were you, Edgeworth.
This can't really be the end of the line, can it? Why let us come so far only to pull the case from out from under us?
Now, you may leave. Knight, detain the suspect. Yes, sir, right away. To make an attempt on my life, to murder one of my faithful servants? The infernity, the villainy.
I didn't murder nobody. 'Cause I...
Shut your mouth, you Miss Journalist.
I...
Answer me this. In a world already lousy with lies, with deception, with sin and equity, can we stand by and suffer yet another crime to go unpunished? I say no, 1,000 times no. There can be no forgiveness. There can be no surrender. Why, you ask? Then I will tell you.
He's hiding something. I'm certain of it. And if I leave now, we'll never know the truth.
Mr. Edgeworth, sir!
Mr. Edgeworth, there's gotta be something we can do.
Think, Miles. Remember. How many times have you faced situations like this in the courtroom? I've confronted the lies of witnesses and countered the arguments of other lawyers. Mainly one that comes to mind. Has the critical evidence always been laid out at your feet? No. And yet you always got to the truth of the situation in the end. With your greatest weapon of all, your words. Now, let us analyze the state of play.
Begone, puny prosecutor. Or do you dare defy the direct order of a president?
He's not going to listen. He clearly plans to drown out any objection by means of pure rhetorical force. When an opponent is on the offense, the best thing I can do is bide my time and wait for an opening. As he said himself, he's a head of state, a seasoned politician. He won't open himself up to attack easily. I can't let him bully me into submission, and I have to stay calm and alert. If I can read his movements and expressions correctly, I may be able to find my moment. My first aim should be to find out why he is insisting on Zhongfa's taking over the case. The board is set. Time to make my opening gambit. Please, tell me about...
Did I give you permission to speak? No! 1,000 times no! I am the leader of Zhongfa. I have no time for your insolent backchat.
I was simply hoping to confirm one basic fact. You say that the investigation will now be assigned to your national police force.
I do. Now enough of your pointless questions.
Good boy.
The interior of this plane is the sovereign territory of Zhongfa. You have no rights here.
Is that so? Could it be that our current location itself is significant somehow? I should keep that in mind. It could be a useful clue. Could you at least explain to me why I am off the case?
Impeccable. Oh, cease your insolent jabbering. I need not explain myself to you. My reasons are my own, and they are none of your concern.
Perhaps it's time to employ my clue. In the course of our conversation, I deduce a certain facts from your behavior, Mr. President. For example, you seem particularly aggressive when discussing our current location.
You smarmy smart aleck.
As you said yourself, the presidential plane is the sovereign territory of Zhongfa. And from that, we can infer that you believe the rules of extraterrestrial apply inside here. Is that correct?
Enough! Cease your objectable whining!
You can rant and roar all you like, but you won't escape my scrutiny. It is unmistakable. The moment I mentioned extraterrestriality, you became visibly agitated. You think you're clever, don't you? Let me answer her little question.
It's true. Extraterrestriality applies. Your laws mean nothing here. And why does that matter, you ask? It matters because it means you are powerless. You have neither influence nor authority here.
Interesting. So the extraterrestriality issues does have something to do with all this. Let's dig a little deeper into the column that the plane is sovereignty territory, shall we? This next move will surely decide the victor. He may be president, but nobody is untouchable. Well, I just have to find the right angle of attack. Surely you see that you have overplayed your hand?
Nobody asked your opinion. You need to obey me, nothing else.
Oops. You may have realized by now what a massive corner you've talked yourself into.
Worthless, meaningless bluster. Something pathetic ploy to buy time, perhaps.
Maybe it was a little pathetic to chime in like that here. Oh boy. I can't let him bully me into the back foot. I have to stay calm and alert. If I can read his movements correctly, I may be able to find an opening. We've already read this. Let's buy my time this time.
You dare tell me how to govern? How to lead? You dare contradict me?
On the matter of Miss Lloyd's guilt, yes, I do.
No, she is guilty. She is the culprit. There is nothing left to debate.
Let's buy my time again. As I feel I'll make a mistake if I chose otherwise.
Who else could have fired from outside of the plane? There is no other visible suspect.
Fascinating. He's claiming that Miss Lloyd fired at him from outside the plane? This could be a vital clue. I believe that extraterrestriality applies here, but can you prove it?
Do you even understand what you're asking?
Of course, but I don't. But if I don't, I wouldn't have asked.
Have you no shame, calling into question the good word of one such as myself?
Oh dear, bide my time.
I have no more time for this. You clearly cannot be saved from your own foolishness.
You needn't worry about me. I'm not the one who needs saving. That would be Miss Lloyd, the woman who is being wrongfully accused of this crime.
Your chivalry is admirable, but it changes nothing. The right to extraterritoriality, he cannot be denied. This is Zhang Fa.
Time to deploy my clue. I may not be able to call the extraterritoriality of the presidential plane into doubt. However, according to you, she shot from outside of the aircraft, correct? In which case, extraterritoriality, he could not possibly apply in this case. Your assertion is entirely without merit, and the detainment of Miss Lloyd cannot be justified.
How could I have been bested by a mere prosecutor? But I am the president! The president!
God, he sounds like you know who when he's in a temper tantrum. Checkmate. I trust you won't mind. And if we continue our investigation now, Mr. President?
I hereby officially and unreservedly confer my appeal. Consider it a gesture of the magnanimity and generosity of which for my good office is known. Yes, for without no... Oh boy, he's talking fast. I hate when characters do that in an Ace Attorney game. Oh boy, oh boy. I think he's having a breakdown.
All that when he could have just said, okay, you got me.
Mr. Knight, if you would care to return the evidence.
Psh, take it.
We did it, Mr. Edgeworth.
We sure did. And now the investigation can continue.
Whatever. Enjoy your pocket full of pawns. I'll be over here enjoying how to put them into play. Enjoying how you put them into play.
Then you will definitely enjoy my next move. Mr. President, one more favor, if you would be so kind.
What is it?
Could you please give us your testimony concerning the incident itself?
Now you want me to testify? Whoa, whoa, that's your next move? If you want the president to testify, you'll have to take him to court.
All in good time, Mr. Knight. He will get his day in court soon enough. But if a person of interest refuses to cooperate at the investigation stage of the process, they are obliged to provide detailed justification as to their reason for doing so.
That's...
What's the matter? Is there something you'd rather we didn't know?
Stand down, Knight. I'll do as the prosecutor asks.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Now listen, and listen well.
President Wang's testimony.
Where was I when the incident occurred? The stage, of course. Suddenly, Rook and Knight jumped in front of me. Then, bang! A shot rang out and a plain unblemished balloon of red exploded nearby. Not hesitating for an instant, my bodyguards tried to escort me back to the safety of the plane. And then, the second shot. The bullet went right through Rook and loaded itself in the bulletproof vest I was wearing.
I guess if you look at it in one way, the president is also a victim here.
Yes, the victim of an attempted assassination. Rook was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
But that makes it even weirder. Why would the target of a crime try to obstruct the investigation?
My guess is that there's something behind all this that he doesn't want made public.
A cover-up, huh? I knew there was more to this than meets the eye.
And the president isn't the only one who knows the truth. Isn't that right, Mr. Knight? Time to get to the bottom of this once and for all.
was I when the incident occurred? On the stage, of course.
And how would you describe the incident exactly?
Oh, you naive little man. And do you really think your silly simple question will shake me? I was involved in a caravan attempt to silence me with cold steel. And while I was speaking to my adoring public, no less. Suddenly, Rook and Knight jumped in front of me.
Hold it!
When they stepped in to protect you, were you aware of the fact that you were being targeted?
I was aware of the... No! I was aware of my audience, nothing else. When I stepped up to the podium, I enter another world entirely. A place of rapture, a place beyond words.
Yeah, I think that's called stage fright. I bet you were like a deer in headlights.
No, 1,000 times no. I remember every second. Each moment is indelibly etched into my memory. When Rook and Knight stepped in, I was shocked, overwhelmed, taken aback. Then, bang! A shot rang out, and a plain, unblemished balloon of red exploded nearby.
That would be the Steel Samurai balloon.
Objection!
You say it was a plain red balloon that burst, but I strongly beg to differ.
What?
Take a look at this. I think you'd agree that it's hardly a plain balloon, don't you think?
No! Who is that?
Mr. President, meet the Steel Samurai. I would have hoped you might recognize him, especially if you were hoping to ingratiate yourself with the people of this country.
Yeah, you have to watch the Jama Ninja too. He's amazing.
So you see, the balloon that was struck by a bullet was anything but plain. It was in fact of the Steel Samurai.
But the briefing mentioned 2 plain red balloons. And they were there. And there they were. Her right on the security plan.
They do look pretty plain, don't they? Just simple round balloons.
Knight, what is the meaning of this? Explain yourself. Yes, Mr. President. It seems the Steel Samurai balloons was borrowed at the last minute, sir.
Borrowed?
That's what we were told. Guess they only reported the incident to us bodyguards, though. Seems there was a little trouble here on the site last night. One of the original balloons burst somehow.
So they swapped it in as an emergency replacement?
Yeah, one of the stall holders happened to have it. From what I hear, he was more than willing to lend it out. The very happy-go-lucky kind of guy, they said.
A happy-go-lucky stall holder with a Steel Samurai balloon to spare, huh?
They filled the bottom part of the part with air to make it look like the other ornamental balloon. So while it was a steel samurai balloon, it was made to look like a plain red one over the water.
And is that the long and short of it?
Knight, why was I not informed of this? Sorry, sir. We didn't think it was a pressing issue.
And indeed, you saw it and knew no different, correct?
Yes, I suppose so.
Could he really have mistaken the steel samurai he pants for a plain red balloon? Still, Mr. President, I struggle to see how you wouldn't have noticed something different about the balloon.
Of course.
What's that outburst for?
Now I remember. I could barely see the balloon.
You couldn't see it?
That's right. The wind was blowing too hard. The flags to the side of the stage were flapping incessantly, and blocking my view.
Is that so?
Yes, those two flags. They were being blown back towards me.
There would have been a strong wind blowing right around the time of the incident. Strong enough to blow the flags in just such a fashion? But does it conflict in any way with our understanding of the case?
Yeah, I think it does.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your testimony has revealed yet another contradiction.
It has?
Yes, a contradiction that could turn this entire case on its head. When I arrived at the scene, the wind had died down and the flags were resting calmly for the most part. But if the wind had previously been blowing the flags as the president describes, a certain piece of evidence suddenly takes on a very different meaning. Which piece of evidence contradicts this piece of evidence? Let's see. It's not that one. Not my badge.
Ah, yes, the bullet trajectory.
Take that!
Earlier we deduced that the bullet that struck the steel samurai balloon and the bullet that passed through the flag are one and the same. From these two things, we further deduce the trajectory that the bullet must have taken. And we concluded that our shooter must have fired from the left side of the spectator area. But if the flags were being blown, as the president describes, our conclusion becomes quite different.
No way. If the flags were pointing in the other direction...
Exactly. Our trajectory changes completely. And if we trace that trajectory back to its source, we can ascertain who really fired that shot.
Wait, but Mr. Edgeworth, that would mean...
Yes, I know. Oh, we may not yet understand the reason why, but it can only have been one person who did it. Let's see. It's either Knightley or you. Let's see. It's one of you two. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, you.
Take that!
The person who fired that first shot, was none other than you, Mr. Knight.
What?
The path from the balloon back through the flag leads directly to the spot where you were standing.
But the guy's one of the president's bodyguards. Why the heck would he go around shooting balloons?
This is absurd. What exactly are you trying to imply?
That Mr. Knight, a man who has saved my life countless times, is my own would-be assassin? Seriously, Edgeworth, we've put up with a lot from you, but this? We're President Wang's bodyguards. We're the pieces he's put on the board to protect the king.
I'll handle this, Knight.
Sorry, sir.
Mr. Edgeworth, the wind was indeed blowing quite fiercely around the time of my speech. But the wind can pick up and die at any moment in an instant. Can it not? Therefore, I need proof. Proof that it was blowing hard enough to lift the flags during that crucial moment. The first shot was fired right around the time the president raised his fist. I have a piece of evidence that shows just that. Perhaps it can also show us what was happening with the flag then too. It's definitely not this, because it only shows him pointing his finger in the air. So it's got to be this. Bingo!
Take that!
Your proof is in this picture right here.
This should be good. Which picture? Where?
We can see which way the flag was really blowing. Right here.
Take that!
Well, do you deny that it clearly shows the flag?
No,
There we have it. Proof that it was blowing towards you the moment of the shooting.
So that means our pal over there did shoot the balloon?
Making him the assassin?
Mr. Knight. He is not the assassin. Mr. Knight is not the assassin. He may have shot the balloon, but the president was on the other side of him entirely. Therefore, he can't have been aiming at his boss.
Yeah, besides, why would I even shoot the balloon? What would be the point? And watch how you answer, or I might aim something else next.
There was a point. I'm sure of it. If I can figure out what it was, perhaps I can finally put this whole conundrum to rest. Knight definitely shot the balloon. The fact alone changes everything about this case. Logic time. Let's see. I feel like it has something to do with the attempted assassination. All right. If I'm wrong, then I can try again and see if I can fix this. Oh, I was right. Why did Knight's assigned position change?
I told you, I can't turn my neck to the right.
Hey,
Could only cover the president's left side. So I wound up moving to the right side of the stage.
but is that really the reason? Let us suppose that the plan hadn't changed. Knight had remained posted on the left. Given that he was unable to turn his head to the right, would he even have been able to shoot the balloon closest to him? Could it be that the security plans had changed for the express purpose of popping one of the balloons? And if we suppose that to be the case, the two plans are different. Was the security detail reorganized at some point? Yeah.
Yeah, we made some last-minute changes yesterday. President's orders.
That's right. The president was the one who ordered the change. Well, these are the only two left, so let's do this. If I'm reading things right, the president knew the events about the balloon shooting, which means he must have foreknowledge he would be in someone's crosshairs today as well. And if that's true, then everything else that's been bothering me falls neatly into place. How did the shooter get the gun past such heavy security? And why would they then carry out the shooting wearing a conspicuous item of clothing? Why use a laser pointer that would give their location as in the incident? And how did the president suffer no injuries at all despite the direct hit to his vest? These are the questions that Head Knight and the president don't want us to consider. There is only one possible reason for Mr. Knight to fire his gun: to create the illusion of an assassination attempt.
What?
Huh? Idiot! Do you understand what you're saying?
Oh, I understand all too well. I understand everything now. Most of all, I understand why you were so keen to take this investigation off my hands, Mr. President. You wanted your real plans to remain hidden.
How dare you speak to me that way?
Hey,
This is some kind of... Is this some sort of sick joke?
oh, it's no joke, I assure you. It is simply the truth, as revealed by the careful applications of logic and reasoning, nothing more. The first shot was fired by Mr. Knight with the specific intention of hitting that balloon. The sound of gunfire and the bursting of the balloon were guaranteed to cause a panic. And then he fired again.
He did?
Yes, he fired 2 bullets, both of which were aimed at the balloon. As for why he did so, it's because the second shot was designed to create the impression that the president had been hit.
So, well then, what's the deal with the one in the vest?
I'm willing to bet that bullet was planted there long before the shooting ever occurred.
Mr. Heroic President didn't take a bullet after all?
Hold it. That's not true. I was shot, I tell you.
We'll be able to verify that for ourselves once we take a closer look at that vest. At the very least, we can expect to find traces of Mr. Rook's blood on it, correct?
But you said it yourself. You found the shooter in a photograph. The person with a red hood.
I thought I made myself clear. The trajectory points into the one possible shooter, Mr. Knight.
Then where does Tabby fit into all this?
She was simply one part of their plan. In order to place suspicion elsewhere, they set about creating a fake assassin.
The highly suspicious person with the red hood.
I have yet to ascertain exactly how complicit Miss Lloyd was in the whole scheme, but I can say with some confidence that none of the shots were fired by her. I suspect her only job was to point a laser her sight at the president.
That's right. Then I was...
Tasked with turning your jacket inside out the moment the crowd flew into a panic, yes? Thus making the mysterious red-hooded shooter disappear in the blink of an eye. Then, when the gun and the security plans were later found in the trash bin, it would have all appeared to have been the work of an assassin so skilled they could vanish into thin air.
But then the cause would have been cold. The case would have been cold.
Exactly what our friends here were hoping for.
Makes sense now why they wanted you off the case.
Indeed, because the entire affair was a cheap ruse prepared by the president himself.
No,
The presidential mask has well and truly slipped. Admit it, the entire assassination was a lie, wasn't it?
If that stupid chief prosecutor hadn't insisted in assigning you, how could I let this happen?
Objection!
That's enough, Edgeworth.
Mr. Knight,
Sorry, but I'm speaking with the president right now.
Yeah, well, I'm doing my job as a knight and protecting my king. Quit showing off. So go ahead, keep running your mouth.
Perhaps it would be better if we stuck to threatening each other with words.
He wouldn't, would he?
Nah, I don't need this thing to shut you up. Alright, my move. Question. You claimed I fired my gun from on stage. How do you figure I did that in front of a crowd of thousands?
An excellent point. Time for my countermove, I suppose. You had a certain something that allowed you to conceal your actions.
A certain something, huh? Mighty specific.
What did Knight use to hide his actions from the crowd?
What else would it be?
Take that!
My attaché case?
Yes, take a look at Kay's photograph. Your right hand is completely obscured by the case. At the very moment this picture was taken, you were firing your gun. And in such a way you wouldn't be detected.
Objection!
You don't like to let the facts get in the way of a good theory, do you, Edgeworth? Shame you don't seem to have noticed.
Notice what?
That theories are all you have. Conjectures, nothing more. The flag was blowing in the wind at precisely the right moment. And I hid my gun with my attaché case. We changed the security plans because I couldn't turn my head. It's all just speculation, circumstantial evidence, and at best, you can't prove any of it. If you at least had the bullet hit that burst the balloon, you might have a scrap of credibility. Imagine you could have run forensics to see if it matched my gun. But no, that bullet is at the bottom of the lake. You gonna go dredge it up? Dirge it up?
I hate to say it, but he's right. I don't have anything concrete.
I thought not. Maybe now you can shut your mouth.
Hold it. Ms. Lloyd, of course. She could shed some light on this whole situation. I just need to get her to talk.
What's the matter? Something you want to say, Miss Journalist?
Never mind.
That's what I thought.
Ms. Lloyd, I need you to be brave. If you don't speak up now, the truth will be lost forever. You are a journalist after all, are you not?
Dang it. I can't stay quiet any longer.
Hey, don't underestimate what you're doing. You understand what you're doing, right? I'd think carefully before opening that mouth of yours.
I was so focused on bagging me a scoop, I forgot the most important thing of all. Real journalists don't lie. Ain't no dang scoop if it ain't the truth. I'm sorry, hey, Mr. Edgeworth. I should have showed you this before.
What is it?
It's a laser pointer. I used it on the president. But it's all I done. I never shot nobody.
You stupid! I thought I told you. You squeal and you go down as an accomplice.
It was him. He told me to do it. I was at Zhangfa's embassy sniffing out a story like I told you. This was 3 days back. He came up to me out of the blue, just starts talking. Help me out and I'll get you exclusive access to the president. That kind of stuff.
But what about the gun in the trash can?
That I don't know nothing about. I swear it. All he's told me was to wear a jacket with a red hood and point their pointer at the president. I never thought for a minute that it'd blow up in my face so bad. I'm sorry. Truly I am.
Thank you, Miss Lloyd. I'd like you to testify to that effect when this goes to trial. It ought to go a long way towards proving that the assassination was a sham.
What's wrong with you people? Oh, don't any of you know what's good for you?
My sympathies, Mr. Knight. Had you successfully removed me from this case as you intended, perhaps then you could have kept your pawn quiet,
So, let me get this straight. You told Tabby, if you let slip about our fake assassination plot, we'll have you convicted for murder? Or something like that?
Of all the dirty... I said no such thing. Hold it.
President Wong?
Give it up, Knight. It's time we came clean. It's our only choice.
So, Mr. President, you admit it? You admit that there was a plot to fake an assassination attempt?
I do. I'm sorry.
But why? Why do something like that?
My popularity has been on the wane back home. I thought surviving an attempt on my life might give me the boost I needed. I know what we did was wrong, so yes, it was all lies, all of it!
And the bullet in the vest?
It was planted ahead of time. I wasn't hit by anything today.
But then, what's up with the killer?
Our plan got out somehow. And then he just appeared, hell-bent on turning our fake assassination into a real one.
Hence the red raincoat, I suppose. He hoped to get in close enough to as the fake assassination to finish the job.
There is one thing I don't understand, though.
Oh? And what would that be?
Why did Rook have to die? If the whole thing was fake, how did he wind up getting killed for real?
That's true. And therein lies the real question.
He was a fine bodyguard. The best, in fact. He may not have been a naive as native Zhengfa, but he was someone I could fully trust.
Mr. Rook must have been really something to gain the trust of someone who hide from his own shadow.
Sounds like he was as trustworthy to the president as I am to you, huh, sir?
I believe that's for me to say, Detective, not you. Mr. Rook, Hook must have known about the plan too, then, correct?
He wasn't aware of any specific details. Not really. I tried to involve him, but he refused.
And you would have done well to listen to him.
This is a tragedy. The life of a good man has been wasted.
What was so great about him anyway?
What's gotten into him?
He was just another piece of the board. There to protect you. Nothing more.
Mr. Knight, how could you?
Who was it that actually went along with your plan, huh, Mr. President? While that precious coward backed down home when you needed him to step up to the most.
I value your support too, of course, but...
Look, I'm your chief bodyguard now. That's all that matters. And now that spineless fool Rook is gone, things are gonna change around here. Thanks to me, genius strategist, grand master, rifle leader of the team.
We are all well aware of your ambitions, Knight. But doesn't this feel a little imprudent to you?
Why? My plan, and this time was perfect, as they always say, as they always are, and they always will be.
That's quite the statement. Especially considering that your perfect plan was an abject failure.
Yeah, no thanks to you, and that buffoon Rook.
And how exactly was it Mr. Rook's fault?
If he hadn't died, Mr. Herdy Killer would have never come after me. And I would have had to let you on this plane.
Please, Mr. Knight, you mustn't talk like that.
Fine. The guy died protecting you, Mr. President. I'm sure that's just what he always wanted.
But did he die protecting the president?
Wait, I thought the whole assassination thing was fake. Ah, come on. Do I have to say everything twice? I planned a fake assassination, but somebody else came along and tried to make it real. 2 shots were fired, remember? Like you said, Edgeworth, one of them was the bullet I shot through the balloon. But the second, that wasn't me.
Oh, really? Then who did fire it?
The real assassin, but not the killer. His plan was to come after the president with a knife. No, the most likely suspect here is he's cowering quietly in the corner. Our lily white queen over there. What? Miss Lloyd? Again with this? I'm not your dang assassin.
But is that really true? I, for one, don't believe it. The gun in the trash can, it can only belong to you.
Knight's Gambit.
As soon as I shot that balloon, I rushed over to help Rook escort the president back onto the plane. I left Rook there in his room while I secured the president in the safe room. When I came back out, Rook was lying there on the ground. Ms. Journalist just half shot Rook while we were escorting the president off stage. That single killer shot was fired by the gun you found in the trash can.
So you don't actually know when the victim was struck by the bullet, you do you?
The knight doesn't protect the rook, Edgeworth. He protects the king.
You want to translate?
He means that his only concern was protecting the president.
Lose the king and you lose the game. Isn't that the first rule of chess?
But a win in which the key piece is sacrificed is a hollow victory indeed.
Doesn't matter. It's a silly victory. It's still a victory. I kept the president safe. I win.
Still, it's a bit early to be calling our little match in any case, for this is where our battle really begins.
As soon as I shot that balloon, I rushed over to help Rook escort the president back into the plane.
Hold it!
The victim really didn't take part in your little plan, did he?
Nope. And we kept him in the dark on the details.
So he really thought the president was in danger. But wait, he must have noticed that the shove came from right next to him.
Maybe he did. Guess we'll never know. Even if he did know it was a sham, he still had a job to do. He still had to protect his king.
And he was able to make a judgment like that in a split second? Impressive. He really was as capable as they say.
Not so capable that I couldn't read him like a book. I made it so he had no choice but to go ahead with our little performance. I left Rook in the room while I secured the president in the safe room.
Hold it!
Why do that? You and the president both knew the whole thing wasn't real.
But it had to seem real. There were people everywhere. It's not a good look, right? Imagine if someone had spotted him who'd just been shot at. Hanging out in his plane, sipping grape juice like he didn't have a care in the world.
And what was the victim doing during all this?
Who knows? I was in the safe room like I said. Anyway, when I came back out, Rook was lying there on the ground.
Hold it!
Where on the ground exactly?
Right where he is now, in the middle of the floor. The door to the outside was shut though. Guess the bullet must have hit him right before he closed it. And thanks to his little blunder, my whole plan fell apart.
Mr. Knight, you mustn't talk that way.
He may have kept you safe, Mr. President, but he isn't here now to save your good name. I'd call that
dereliction of duty? What would you call it? An honorable try, which is more than what you'd give, I'd say.
Sorry, but that's just how it is. Ms. Journalist must have shot Rook while we were escorting the president off stage.
Hold it!
Weren't you and Mr. Rook both carrying bulletproof attaché cases?
Yeah. Opened them right after Rook spotted a laser spot. We moved into covering team positions and used them to shield the president.
So the bullet that hit Mr. Rook traveled through the gap in that defensive shield. Do you really believe Miss Lloyd to be that skilled a marksman?
Well, no. She was aiming for the president. That makes her a lousy shot.
So it was pure coincidence that Rook was hit? And the bullet simply happened to find its way past your attaché cases and through the gap in his vest?
Seems crazy to me too, but the facts are the facts. It was a shot in a million, but the shooter hit the bullseye, and the proof is in your hands. That single killer shot was fired by the gun you found in the trash can.
Objection!
So you contend that it was you who shot the balloon and Ms. Lloyd who shot Mr. Rook? Are you sure about that?
Sure, I'm sure.
While what you've proposed would indeed match up with the total number of shots heard, the gun from the trash can itself has also been fired twice. Now, why would the supposed number of shots heard from this gun differ from the number of spent rounds? It's simple. Because it was planted by the real perpetrator of the crime.
Somebody faked the evidence?
Yes, and if you think about it, their reason for doing so is obvious. To ensure that whoever found the gun would conclude that the shooter had been in the spectator area. And in order to do that, they had to make it seem as if both shots had come from this one weapon.
I get it. So that's why it's got 2 spent shots rounds, huh?
Precisely. As we have already proven, the bullet that burst the balloon came from a different weapon, which makes it entirely impossible that the bullet which killed Mr. Rook didn't come from this gun either.
Nice work, Edgeworth. That's some high-grade sleuthing. But why don't you get to the point? You've come this far. Spit it out!
Oh, I intend to, don't worry. The person who really shot Mr. Rook was...
You.
Take that!
You, Mr. Knight. You're the one who murdered Mr. Rook.
Oh, finally got to the courage to say it, huh?
Surely not. Surely you wouldn't have. It wasn't only D. Killer who tried to take advantage of this fake murder plot. You killed Mr. Rook, hoping that he would look like an accidental victim in the bungled assassination. With the president locked away in the safe room and the door to the airplane tightly closed, it was just you and Mr. Rook alone, together. And that was when when the third bullet was fired right into your colleague's body.
Objection!
Wait, you're really gonna claim that there's a third one now? You just said only 2 gunshots were heard. Wanna tell me how that works?
Airplane cabins are practically soundproof, Mr. Knight. If you close the door, nothing can be heard from the outside, not even gunfire.
But wasn't the president right next door?
Very true, which means he may have heard the shot himself. Well, Mr. President?
I didn't hear anything.
But can you observe this room through your security feed? Can you not?
The camera in this room isn't normally on. I have to manually switch it on when I enter the safe room.
And that's what you did this time too, right?
Well, that is...
What's gotten into him? Mr. President, this is very vital, important.
Please, President Wong.
Fine, I was busy hiding under the bed covering my ears.
What? Even though you knew the whole thing wasn't real?
Yes, because I hate the sound of guns. Just the slightest hint of that awful noise and it's just too much.
Oh, that there's sadder than a pot of overcooked crawfish.
Ahem. Mr. Knight, you saw that President Wong was cowering beneath the bed? And what's more, you knew from the monitor bank that the security camera for this room hadn't been switched on, which means you knew that the circumstances were perfect for you to fire a third shot straight at Mr. Rook.
Knight, how could you? Could you really have betrayed my trust so horribly?
You think I killed my old half-wit? I killed the old half-wit? You don't trust me much, huh? This is the thanks I get for putting my life on the line for you day after day?
I want to believe you, but...
I don't get it. I just don't get it. What is there to doubt here? What you don't believe is that... What, you don't believe that the girl over there could have done it?
No, because this gun isn't the murder weapon. We know this from the number of bullets fired.
Yeah, well, how do you know there wasn't a spent bullet from the start?
What?
Someone could have fired a bullet from that gun yesterday or the day before. Then today, another bullet hit the bullet that hit Rook.
That's pure speculation, pal, and you know it.
Maybe, but can you prove it's not true?
Not with my certainty, no.
You're nothing without conclusive proof, so come on. A single piece of evidence, straight through my heart. I dare ya. Well, what are you waiting for? There must be something. Mustn't there, Mr. Edgeworth? If we can't prove it, Tabby's. Please, Ruffles. I messed up. I know I did. I should have never had done what I did. Not even for a scoop. But murder? Nah, that ain't me. Ain't a murderous bone in my body.
Conclusive proof. If only I could prove that Knight's gun is the murder weapon. Wait, perhaps I can.
If you at least had the bullet that burst the balloon, you might have a scrap of credibility. Imagine, you could have run forensics to see if it matched my gun.
If we had the bullet that matched Mr. Rook, that killed Mr. Rook, forensics should tell us which gun it was fired from.
No proof, no case. End of conversation.
Objection!
Hold it right there.
What now?
Oh,
You're not about to claim you do have proof.
of course I do.
This ought to be good. All right, bring it on. Show me this proof of yours.
The bullet that killed Mr. Rook is the key to ending our little game. Very well. The conclusive evidence is, unfortunately, not on my person. Currently not in my possession.
All right then. Thanks for playing, folks, but that's game over.
However, it is here in this room.
What?
As we know, the bullet that killed Mr. Rook passed through his body. But where did it end its journey? Perhaps we should cast our minds back on to earlier conversation? After passing through his body, the bullet that took Mr. Rook's life then found itself lodged in the vest.
He's right. If the president hadn't been wearing that vest, things could have been a lot worse.
But now, of course, we know that the so-called assassination attempt was a complete fabrication. The vest that prepared Hurtis in advance made to look as if it had been hit by a bullet. Which begs the question, where is the real bullet?
I like it. A twist. This is a good stuff, Edgeworth. Come on then. Don't keep us in suspense.
Does any of the evidence point to where the bullet that killed Mr. Rook might have ended up? I believe so.
I believe it's this.
Take that!
There's something very clearly missing from this room.
Yes, the prosecutor with some common sense.
Take a look at the bank of security monitors.
Oh,
I see you've caught on, Mr. President. Splendid. There are screens here showing views from all around this airplane, inside and out. The only external angle not covered in this is the right-hand side of the aircraft. And that's because one of the monitors is missing. There was a monitor in that space previously, wasn't there, Mr. President?
there was. I have no idea what my plushie is doing there right now, though.
It appears to be someone's vain attempt to hide what is obviously lacking. But where did it go, and why? The why is easy enough to answer, because it was struck by a bullet. For if we were able to believe that the bullet in the vest was the real deal, then anything that hinted at the extent of another bullet had to be removed.
So, where did the missing monitor go?
Where indeed? I believe that it must be hidden somewhere on this plane. After all, there wouldn't have been time to dispose of it outside the aircraft. Detective Gumshoe, conduct a search if you would.
Right away, sir. Mr. President, extraterritoriality, remember? I have no objection to the search. Please, go ahead. If it will help us discover the truth behind what happened to Rook, I will not stand in your way. Well, why do you don't believe this? I don't believe this. Rook this, Rook that. Don't you ever think about anybody else.
The search has been authorized, Detective. If you would mind.
Sir, I found the monitor.
Excellent work. Now, go ahead and extract the bullet.
Let's see, if I put my head in here and just... Come on. Got it!
Well, would you look at that? Blood. This is the bullet that killed Mr. Rook. There's no doubt about it. And there you have it, Mr. Knight. A single piece of evidence you required, straight through your heart. Even you must now admit, if this bullet didn't come from the spectator area, a gun, then Ms. Lloyd cannot be Mr. Rook's killer. What? No pity comeback? Detective, the forensics analyzed the bullet for restrictions and compare him to the guns we found.
Yes, sir. We'll get the evidence you need. You can count on it.
Alright, let's hear what forensics has to say.
Our findings are as follows, sir. Firstly, the blood on this bullet is indeed that of the victims.
Proven that it was the bullet that killed Mr. Rook?
Secondly, we found Mr. Knight's fingerprints on the gun.
Probably from when I handled all the evidence. I handed all the evidence over to him. Now for the key part. The strictions. If they are a match, then Ms. Lloyd is in the clear.
Lastly, the strictions from the bullet are a match with this weapon.
What? But how could that be?
No way!
Aw, come on!
There's no doubt about this, sir. This is the gun that fired the bullet.
How?
Well, isn't that something? Conclusive proof that I was right. What's the matter? You didn't think you had me backed into a corner, did you? Guess you misread the board. 'Cause the only one backed into a corner here is you.
Knight's Corner.
There's no denying it. Forensics prove that the gun and the bullet are a match. The bullet that killed old Rook was fired from the gun found in the spectator's area. So, who pulled the trigger? It can't have been me. I was up on stage, which leaves your little friend. The hack killed Rook. She's the murderer. Her and you just proved it. Your move, Edgeworth. But just remember two things. One, you were where you found that gun. And two, which gun the fatal bullet came from. Whichever way you look at it, I can't have been the shooter.
How did it come to this?
Me and the president, we admitted to faking the assassination attempt. Now, it's your turn to admit to something. Who the killer really is.
There's no way Tabby did it, is there?
Don't let him get to you, Kay. We just need to go over his statements again. There must be something further we can deduce from them.
Okay, let's do this, Mr. Edgeworth.
There's no denying it. Forensics prove that the gun and the bullet are a match.
Hold it!
No, that's...
Objection!
What was it you said? That forensics would back you up? Gah. How does it feel to be shot in the chest by your own conclusive proof, huh? Not so good, I imagine.
The bullet and the gun are a match, Mr. Edgeworth. That kinda has to mean that Tabby pulled the trigger, no?
Even so, I simply cannot accept that.
But, sir, there's no denying the evidence.
There isn't. So, what am I missing? If I assume Miss Lloyd to be innocent, then the gun and the bullet shouldn't be a match. What is it, Kay?
I was just thinking, if the evidence points to something that doesn't seem possible, then maybe there's something wrong with it.
You're asking me to call the evidence into question?
Well, there's no way Tabby did it, right? So, if the evidence says that she did it, then the problem must lie there.
You seem very sure about this.
Call it my great thieves' intuition.
Intuition, huh? Still, she could be right. I simply don't believe Miss Lloyd to be the malicious liar, which means... As someone who believes in that evidence is everything in court, the irony is not lost on me. But if I were to call a piece of evidence into question, it would have to be... I choose... the gun. If something untoward is going on here, it would have to involve the weapon, not the bullet. After all, we only just recovered the bullets a little while ago. Furthermore, we know that Mr. Knight had an opportunity to handle the gun.
Now hand over the evidence you have gathered and remove yourselves from this plane. I'd do as he says if I were you, Mr. Edgeworth.
This can't really be the end of the line, can it? Indeed, he had ample opportunity. There's no doubt that this gun is the weapon that was used in the crime. Which means It must belong to...
Take that!
The gun belongs to Mr. Knight. He switched them around. That has to be it.
The bullet that killed Mr. Rook was fired from the gun you found in the spectator area.
Objection!
We're on to you, buddy. Admit it. You switched the guns, didn't you, Mr. Knight? That's why the markings match the weapon in question. It was yours all along.
An intriguing move there, Mr. Edgeworth. And
You must have made the switch when I handed over the evidence. While I was busy trying to make the case for remaining on the investigation, you took the laser, her sight from the gun we found in the trash can, and put it on your gun. Then, not long afterwards, you handed that gun back to me, instead of the one we found.
I did, huh? You think I somehow knew you find, let alone run forensics on the bullet that someone in the future?
Is that so strange? You're a chess player, and after all, a man well used to thinking several moves ahead.
I'm flattered. But as it pains me to admit it, you're overestimating my abilities. Besides, do you even have any proof that I made the switch?
Knight's Counter, Part 2.
The gun is the same model as mine. Weird, sure, but it's just a coincidence. And look, there's a laser sight attached. Also, take a look at the cylinder. Her 2 spent bullets. Just what we expected to see. So, what proof do you have that I switched the original gun out for mine, huh? None, that's what.
I beg to differ with that statement. You say I'm overestimating your abilities. You surprise me.
What can I say? I'm a modest guy. More modest than you, that's for sure. Everywhere except at the chessboard, that is.
Well, I don't see a chessboard here, do you?
Shame. Still, guess that gives you a nice excuse. I didn't mess up. I just didn't have the right evidence.
I don't think I'll be the one making excuses. Rather, I didn't mess up. They just got lucky with the evidence. Will be your excuse, I'd imagine. I think I already know where the contradiction is.
The gun is the same model as mine. And sure, weird sure, but it's just a coincidence. And look, there's a laser sight attached. Also, take a look at the cylinder. 2 spent bullets. Just what we'd expect to see. So, what proof do you have that I switched the original gun out for mine? Huh? None! That's what!
Objection!
I have your proof. right here.
That's your proof? You think you've been working too hard, Mr. Edgeworth? I think you've been working too hard, Mr. Edgeworth.
Not the gun itself, the evidence it carries. Evidence that will prove once and for all that it does in fact belong to you.
I'm looking forward to this. Go ahead, make your move. What's about to come into play? The rook? The bishop? Not a pawn, surely.
The evidence the gun will provide takes from is fingerprints, namely yours, Mr. Knight.
Objection!
My prints? Ha! Of course my prints are on the gun. You handed it right to me when you gave the evidence. How could they not be on there?
What if I told you there were prints? What if I told you that there are prints on part of the gun that you shouldn't have touched at any point?
What? Where? You can't prove that.
Oh, but I can. There is a place where your fingerprints could never have been touched. If things happen as you say. Allow me to present the final piece of evidence that will bring our game to its rightful conclusion. Here, look closely at the cylinder, detective.
2 bullets fired, but where are the prints we're looking for, sir?
Oh boy. It's on the bullets, isn't it? You did indeed switch the guns when I handed you the evidence, but if that were all you had done, your deception would have been easily detected. Because the number of bullets fired by each gun was different.
There were 2 spent bullets in the gun we found.
Yeah, but what about Mr. Knight's gun?
We know that he fired 2 bullets from the stage into the balloon, and he fired another bullet into Mr. Rook, ending his life. So 3 bullets in total, plus a few odd ones he let loose in shock during our little game. And after each shot, he reloaded his gun out of habit. With his bare hands, of course.
Ugh.
Officer, where exactly were Mr. Knight's fingerprints found? The ones you mentioned in your report.
Sir, they were found on the exterior of the weapon, but also on the bullets themselves.
I'm sure they could have gotten there just from me handing you the evidence, Mr. Wright.
God, that's...
And there we have it. Proof that you did indeed switch the guns. This gun, the one which fired the bullet that killed Mr. Rook, is yours. And in taking his life, you are the true assassin.
Breakdown time! I didn't...
Checkmate.
No! I was going to be the new chief of security. That blasted Rook. Look, if it hadn't been for him, I would have been in charge by now. Oh, I would have been in control of the whole team. My plan was perfect. The fake assassination was supposed to be flawless.
Detective Gumshoe.
Right away, sir. Curse you, Edgeworth. Our game isn't over yet.
I'm afraid this is as far as we get to go for today. The next moves we play will be in the courtroom.
But it's not fair. It's not fair.
Mr. Edgeworth, I owe you a debt of gratitude. You exposed a murder within the ranks of my own personal guard. I will not soon forget that.
He's suddenly very presidential again. Now that we're back outside the plane.
I saw it, you know, when I first proposed the fake assassination to him.
You want me to handle it, not Rook?
Rook refused. But I can't rely on you, can't I?
Of course, sir, you can count on me. I'll put together a plan that can't possibly fail. And he'll play his part like a pawn he is.
The hatred in his eyes was plain to see. He despised poor Rook. I was not entirely comfortable about moving forward with Knight in charge of our little deception. And looking back, I think he sensed my discomfort. I can't help thinking I played a part in his decision to end Rook's life.
Mr. President, none of this would have happened if you hadn't plotted to fake an attempt on your life. That was your crime, and it is a crime you will have to live with.
You are right. I can only apologize for the part I played. And I will no doubt be made to pay for my actions in one way or another. But I thank you nonetheless. You solved the riddle of Rook's demise, and for that, I shall be eternally grateful. I will be in your country for a little while longer yet. But when I have returned home, perhaps you will visit us in Zingfa. You will always be welcome.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, y'all don't know how grateful I am. It's all that all's well that ends well.
Ms. Lloyd, the accusation of murder against you was of course entirely groundless. But the fact remains that you were a willing participant in the staged assassination attempt. The police will no doubt wish to speak to you about the matter. You should be aware that you may well be punished for your actions.
I know, and I'm awfully sorry about everything. Truly I am.
I understand your desire for a scoop, but there are limits.
There sure are. I got some serious thinking to do. You did it, Mr. Edgeworth. That was something else. Local prosecutor solves assassination conundrum, earns eternal gratitude from president. How's that for a headline? Hey, that there's my department. Mr. Prosecutor, how does it feel to solve such an important case? You must be over the moon.
She certainly doesn't stay down for long. No comment.
Dang, you're one tight-lipped son of a gun.
As well as I should be. This case is not over yet.
It isn't? How come, sir?
Because until we unravel the story behind this, the case will never be completely over.
Take that!
The killer's calling card?
Mr. DeKiller has yet to complete his assignment.
You mean he might still try to murder the president?
I hope I'm wrong, but if I'm not, this could all blow up into something more sinister yet. As one would expect with the attempted assassination attempt of the president, the case was all over the news, and my preparations for Mr. Knight's trial were constantly interrupted by requests from the press. There wasn't a person in the land who didn't know about the case. Everybody was talking about it. But in the midst of the frenzy that followed, nobody noticed that this was only the first move in a game far bigger than any of us could have imagined. And thus ends the first episode of, well, technically second episode, but the first case of Ace Attorney 2, Prosecution's Gambit. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did and would love to see more, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you want. Ring that bell to be notified when our next video comes out. We do new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and occasionally Saturdays and Sundays. All of this helps my channel to grow so you have more videos to enjoy. When we come back next time, we take on episode 2, The Captive Turnabout. Have a good night, folks, and enjoy the trailer for the next case. Have a good night, folks.